Hey folks, welcome to this video. In this one, I'm going to show you how to model this rather beautiful vintage style kettle. So this tutorial is a small fragment of what I teach in my stylized kitchen course. It's a really comprehensive course where I'll show you how to create this beautiful kitchen scene from scratch in real time. If you want to know more about that, the link is in the description. You can check it out. So yeah, let's get into it. So before jumping into the modeling process, let's enable some essential add-ons which will help us in the modeling process. So go to edit, preferences, and go to extensions and make sure that you have enabled this add-on called edge flow. And the next one would be extra mesh objects, so this will help us in bringing the single word. Okay, and another one would be loop tools, so this is again will help us in modeling. Okay, so make sure that you have these three add-ons. So once you have enabled them, hit save preferences or turn on auto save preferences. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it. Now press Shift A, go to mesh and go to single word, add a single word. So now we are in the edit mode. Now press 1 for the vertex mode so that we can access the vertex. Press G, Z and bring it down like so. And I'm gonna press E and X to extrude this out here. So you can see the image has a little bit of a perspective. So we gotta have to work accordingly. So I'm gonna move this up, somewhere around here. And let's just retract this one. So I'm going to just trace this out for now, and then we can adjust it later. Okay, so let's press E and extrude this out here, and I'll press E, Z, extrude this over there. Let's give this a nice extrusion here. So this is a sharp transition, so let's add 3 vertices so that we can mark this pretty nicely. So I'm gonna press E to extrude over here and one more over here. Okay, now we have a little bit of a curvature in the center. So it seems like this spout is kind of, making it look like there is a curvature. But then if you look at this area here, so this is pretty flat. So we can simply press G and press E, Z, extrude this all the way over there. Now we have a little bit of a curvature there. So once again, we are going to use 3 vertices to cover this curvature. Now let's go ahead and let's extrude this over there and one over here. Now we have another curvature there, so let's do the same somewhere around here, and let's add one more. Press Z to constrain it on the Z axis. Let's drop it over there, and I'm going to extrude in somewhere over there. Okay, so this is all right. Now I guess we can bring this down a bit. Okay, something like that, and let's grab this here and pull it out like so. So this will be all right. Now let's go to modifiers tab. Let's add a screw modifier first, and let's set the steps viewport to 32. So this is like the 32 vertices of cylinder, something like that. You can see. So previously it was 6 to 16, which is a little low poly. Now make sure that you have 32 over here, because this is must so that we can create this spout out of this teapot. Okay. Now let's also turn on merge and also turn on calculate order. So this will help in merge the extra vertices in the center, and also any flip normals will be taken care of using this calculate order option. Okay. Now let's add a subdivision surface and let's set the levels viewport to 2. Okay, I guess they're looking all right. So don't worry about this area here. So this is, again, this image has a little bit of a perspective. So we can, I feel like we can probably make this a little bit slanting in this area. So I guess we can grab this here, Control X to dissolve it, but then add a vertex one more time to make this a little bit sharper. And I guess, we have a little bit of a curvature in this area. So we can add a couple of vertices over here and scale them up in the z-axis, and this will make this nice and sharp. Okay, like so. And also let's take a quick look at this. So we kind of have a little bit of a crease over here, so we can probably get rid of this one and add it, bring it down just over there, and one more in the center to even out the geometry. Now we also have to add some more vertices to make sure we are having enough geometry so that we can extrude this out. So let's go ahead and add a vertex by pressing Ctrl R, press G, Z, move it over here to mark this edge of this spout. Now let's also add one more here, press G, Z, bring it down here. And we will also need one more which is running in the center. So let's also add one more in the center. So this will do just fine. Okay, we are looking good. And we can expect the base to be a little bit more flat. So I guess we can add a loop cut over here. I mean, a vertex by pressing Ctrl R, press G, X, and move it closer to this vertex, just enough so that we are making sure that the base is flat. And we can also add another vertex over there, somewhere around here. Okay, just so the geometry is even. Now we are looking good. Yeah. Now let's take care of the lid. So I'm gonna borrow these guys here, grab a couple of these vertices, press Shift D, Z, move this out here. I guess we can probably grab this one here, press G, move it just a bit, and extrude it one more time, like so. Now we extrude this inwards, like so. Okay, I guess we can press Ctrl X to dissolve it, or add a loop cut over here. And we can grab these guys, press G, X, pull them in, and make it nice and round, like so. Okay, let's take a closer look at here. Okay, we have a slight rim in this area, I guess. I think that's the paint job, so probably we can ignore that one. So yeah, let's go ahead and grab this guy. Press G, Z, bring it up. Okay, let's also bring this one up as well. Control X, let's do this properly. Okay, something like that. Okay, now we can pull this in a bit more, and let's start to trace out the rest of the shape. Take a look at it. Yeah, this is looking good. Now let's just finish it off. Okay, again, I'm gonna extrude this all the way over here, and let's add a loop cut in the center. Grab this, press G, X, pull it out, make it nice and round. Now let's grab this one, press E, X, extrude this in like so. Keep it in the center. I guess we can see this is a bit more nice and round, so we can add a loop cut over here, here. Grab both of these, press S and Z, scale them out just a bit to give this a bit more, nice curvature. And the transition seems to be a little bit sharper, so we can expand a little bit geometry in here. So I'm going to press S, X, 0, make it nice and flat. Let's add a vertex in the center. This will make it a bit more sharper. And I guess we can, make this top portion a little bit bulgy. I mean, make it a little bit with curvature. So I'm gonna move this up like so, and I'm going to move this over here. So this will give this a nice and round top like so. Yeah, this is looking all right. So we have mapped out the basic shape of this kettle. Now it's time to model the spout. So we gotta have to apply the screw modifier for this. So whenever you are trying to apply any modifiers, it's a good idea and good practice to take some backup of this model. So I'm gonna press Shift D, create a duplicate of this, and let's rename this backup and hide this from the viewport and the rendered preview. Now let's go ahead and grab this, and I'm gonna make this into a separate object. Let's also grab this one here, press L to select this, and press P and choose selection to make it into a separate object. Now let's go ahead and grab these guys, hold your Alt key, and apply the modifiers in both of these. Okay, looking good. So make sure that you have enough geometry like here so that we can create the spout. All right, now I would like to move the reference over here so that we can see it clearly. Yeah, they're looking good. The shapes are pretty on spot. I feel like we could actually add a little bit of a curvature in this area. So I'm gonna press Alt S, inflate this a little bit. And let's go ahead and grab this one and this one. And right click, go to set flow and choose set flow. So this is one of those features from the add-ons that we just enabled. Okay, looking all right. Okay, now let's create the spout. Let's go to the side view by pressing 3 on your numpad and go ahead and grab these 4 faces here. Okay, now press I, create an inset like this, very small inset. And I guess we can grab this edge here, press G, Z, move it up just a bit so that we can, have some room here to work on this. And let's also drop this down a bit more. Okay, now go ahead and press 1 for vertex mode. Let's grab this one, press G twice, slide this out somewhere around here. And let's also grab this one and press G twice, slide this up. Let's also grab this one, press G twice, slide this down. Okay, let's see where the origin of this object. Okay, it's pretty centered. Now press A to select everything, F3, symmetrize, and I'm going to choose -y to +y, and this is gonna symmetrize this from this side to this side. Okay, you can see the gizmo over here. Okay, now let's go ahead, press 3 for face mode, grab this one, right click, go to loop tools and choose circle. Again, another feature from the add-on. Looking all right. Okay, now press G, X, and pull it out so that we can create this spout like so. So you can see here why I have slided off these edges. So this is to make some room for this circle here, okay? And also when you are trying to extrude this type of spout or anything from a really good geometry, it's a good thing to have a line of face loop like this. And this will make sure to contain any of the, stretching and changes within this area, okay? So yeah, let's get on with it. Now I'm gonna press EX and choose faces to delete this. Grab this over here and let's go ahead and press G and pull it out a bit more. And let's start extrude this and try to match the reference. So I'm gonna match the reference in the top area here and press 1 for vertex mode. Okay, now you can see once you have extruded this out, so we can expect this to have a little bit of a rotation like this so that we can rotate this and extrude this pretty nicely. And I have a really neat trick here, which is using a active element pivot point to rotate this pretty nicely. So make sure that you are in the vertex mode and grab this vertex over here, press period key on your keyboard, switch this to active element and press R to rotate this like so, and this will make sure to keep this vertex intact, and therefore we can extrude this out and rotate this and make this nice curvature possible. Okay, now press E to extrude this out. Once again I'm going to match the reference in the top area and I'm going to rotate this to contribute to this curvature. So you can see it is kind of expanding over the reference here. In that case you can press ES and scale it down like so, and this will make sure to contain this. Okay, and also we can see this is narrowing as it reaches the end, so this will make sure to keep the profile nice and clean. Okay, now press E to extrude. Let's drop right here. So this is a pretty steep curvature, so we're gonna need a little bit more geometry so that we can make it nice and curvy. Okay, so let's give this a rotation like so, something like that. So I'm gonna try to keep the previous maintain the previous gap over here. Now we gotta have to scale it down a bit, match the reference once again. Okay, I guess we can bring it down a bit and rotate this a little bit more. Okay, now let's go ahead and extrude this up and let's stop right here again, trying to maintain the distance. Okay, let's give this a nice rotation, scale it down. Let's extrude this up once again, trying to match the distance. We can always come back and adjust these guys. Okay, I'm gonna quickly do the rest of these. So now you can see we are actually kind of transitioning, so let's also please take that into account as well. So instead of trying to match this like this is a pretty steep curvature, so we can probably expect this area to take into control. So I'm gonna go back a little. So let's go ahead and extrude this and stop right here. And instead of trying to rotate the bottom vertices, I'm gonna make this one as active pivot, and let's start to rotate this area here. Okay, so let's scale it down, extrude this up, match the bottom area because that's the inverse of this curvature. I'm not really sure how to call that. So let's give this a light slight rotation. A to extrude, stop right there. Give this a nice rotation. Okay, one more extrusion. Okay, I guess we can probably finish it off over here. Maybe we can, do one more extrusion. E extrude, let's stop right there. And let's give this a rotation like so. Okay, now we have a little bit of a, bumpiness happening here and there. And we can actually fix it pretty easily using the set flow option. So let's grab this one, right click, set flow, set flow. Let's grab a couple of these and choose set flow. So set flow sometimes works pretty weird when you try to grab a bunch of these at a single go, and it will act a little weird in this way. So it's a good idea to grab one or two edges at a time. So that will work just fine. So now this is nice and curvy. So yeah, I'm gonna grab these three. Let's do a set flow. Pretty good, pretty neat. And I guess we can, slightly bring down the profile size as it reaches the end. So let's go ahead, grab this one and scale it down, match the reference. Let's do the same for this one as well. Scale it down and let's do the same for this one as well. Okay, nice and round. So now let's go ahead and grab these guys here. Press G twice and slide them in. Let's grab these guys now. Press G twice, slide them in. Now let's grab these guys and press G twice, slide them in. Let's grab these guys. So it's very important that you are sliding these guys in. Otherwise, it will create dent and bumps in the profile of this spout. So please make sure that you are sliding these vertices. Now this is looking pretty sweet. Now let's go ahead and deal with the handle here. So this is somewhat a tricky part. So yeah, let's see how we can do that. So we have a hinge that is having the screwed in. So I'm gonna first try and model this part here as a individual component, and then we can simply attach it to the top of this teapot. Okay. So press Shift A, go to Mesh, and add a cylinder with 11 vertices. So this is calculated beforehand. So please make sure that you are adding 11 vertices. Now press / to enter the local space. Press R and X and 90. Rotate that. I would like to get rid of this portion. So let's grab this, delete this vertices. Okay, folks, now let's go ahead and grab these vertices. Press Ctrl X to dissolve them. And press K for knife tool. Let's make a cut and let's create some enough geometry. Okay, now let's make a cut over here. Press Z to constrain the cut in the Z axis, like so. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab this vertices. Press E and Z, extrude this down like so. Something like that will do. Now I'm gonna grab this one here. Press G, Z, bring it up just a bit. Now press Ctrl R to add a little bit over here. And press 3 for face mode. Grab this set of faces, press I, create an inset like so. And let's go ahead and grab these guys here. Right click, glue tools, circle. Let's go ahead and grab this one. Right click, glue tools, circle. I guess we can grab this set of edges, press E, Z, bring it down. Yes, Z, 0, make it flat. Okay, looking all right. Now I'm gonna grab this whole thing, press Ctrl plus and bring it up a little bit, something like that. Let's also bring these vertices up as well. And we can also grab this guys here. This is pretty stretched, these guys. So I'm gonna scale them up a little bit. Okay, switch to median point. Scale them up a little, something like that. Let's grab these guys now, scale them up, press EX and choose faces to delete them. Okay, now let's also add a bevel modifier. Set the segments to 2, profile shape to 1. Let's add a solidify modifier to give some thickness, move it above this bevel, even thickness. Let's give this somewhat, this amount of thickness seems good. Now press Ctrl 2 for 2 levels of subdivisions. It seems like the bevel modifier is picking up all these edges. So let's go to the bevel modifier and increase the angle until you see all the edges getting rounded off. Okay, right click shade smooth. Okay, this seems a bit weird. I would like to shift it up a little bit more, like so. Okay, let's press forward slash to exit the local space. Press RZ90. Yeah, set the origin to geometry. Let's go ahead and scale this down and move it up. Match the reference on either one side of this reference image because the image has a little perspective. I guess we can press Ctrl A, apply the scale and reduce the thickness a little more. And I'm gonna grab this here and bring it up like that. Let's grab this one, press G, Z, bring it up. And you can see it is kind of extruded over there. It looks like it is attached on top of this kettle. So let's extrude this somewhere around here. Okay, let's move it up a bit. And I'm going to grab this here because you can see this is kind of breaking the subdivision. So we're going to need a little bit of a geometry to contain the subdivision in this area. So 2 for edge mode, make sure that you are grabbing this edge here. Press Ctrl B, give this a nice bevel. Scroll once to add a segment there. And this will do just fine. And you can also add a segment over there. Press Alt S and slightly bring it up a little. Let's also make sure that this is not scaling on the sideways. So I guess we can probably scale it, bring it up manually by pressing G and Z. Yeah, this is nice, but it feels like a little too big, don't you think? So I'm gonna scale it down. Yeah, I guess this is a optimum size for this object. So I guess we gotta have to pull it down. Let's pull this down like so. Let's add a couple of loop cuts in the center to even out the geometry. Okay, that seems all right. Now, this is a pretty tricky part over there because if you try to extrude this out, this will definitely break this mesh a little bit, and we gotta have to, adjust this a little bit more. That's a little more work. So I'm gonna skip that portion only. Okay. So yeah. Now you can see this portion here. So this resembles the same as this object that we had just created. So I'm gonna borrow some of the mesh over here. Press Shift D, X, move it out. Press R, X, 180 degrees, rotate that. And yeah, looking all right. So now we gotta have to match the holes in both of these guys. But before that, let's press P and choose selection, make it into a separate object. Now let's grab this one here, this newly created one, tab into edit mode, and grab this edge and press Shift S, cursor to selected. Now let's set the origin to 3D cursor. Now let's grab this one. Let's do the same for this one as well. Shift S, cursor to selected. This time I'm gonna grab this here, Shift S, and selection to cursor, and this will bring this over here, and therefore we have successfully matched the holes. Press G, X, move it out like that. Yeah, I guess we can probably keep it like this. Maybe we can increase the thickness for this a little bit. I guess, yeah, that's looking all right. Now I'm gonna flatten this. Yes, Z0. Now this is a little bit of a tricky part here. So let's give this an extrusion, something like that. So we are gonna have to apply the solidify modifier. So I'm gonna press Shift D, create a duplicate of this. I'm gonna call this, or I don't really know how to call this, so I'm gonna call this Hinge backup, just in case. Let's hide this. Now let's grab this and apply the solidify modifier. Now you can go ahead and grab these guys here. Press G, bring it down. Now press E, extrude this one more time. So this time I'm going to use a shear tool. So let's go to the toolbar here, grab the shear tool, and grab the green gizmo. Make sure that you are in the orthographic view and shear it like so. So this will allow us to extrude this out in a really nice manner. And a perfect shear value would be 1 or -1 depending upon which side that you are shearing it. I'm going to bring it down a bit. Now let's go ahead and extrude this out like so. So this handle here, so this is somewhat a circular profile, as you can see here. So we're going to have to convert this square into a circle. So we don't need this shear anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and select the select box tool. I'm going to bring it down a bit like that, and right click loop tools and choose circle. Okay, I'm gonna scale it down like so and press yes and Y, scale it out, and this will make this into somewhat a circular profile like this here. Okay, let's go ahead, and I guess we can scale it up a bit more. Yeah, let's switch the transform orientation to normal. Press yes and X, Y, yeah, Y, and slightly reduce the thickness of it. Now I'm gonna bring it down a bit and give this a little rotation. Let's go ahead and extrude this up and bring it down now. Give this a slight rotation. Okay, I guess we can scale it up a little now. Okay, this time this is X axis. Okay, I guess we can turn off the bevel modifier. Okay, so this is nice and round now. Now we're gonna have to extrude this out and match the profile of it. So yes, and scale it up a little. So yeah, now it's all about extruding this and matching the profile of this object. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So extruding this manually is a bit of a hectic work. So to make our job a little easier, I'm going to bring in a curve object which we can use to easily map out the basic shape of the handle, and then we can source out a curve profile from this existing shape which we can use to shape up the curve object, and then we can convert that curve object into a mesh, and then we can combine both of these guys as a final whole thing. So in that case, we will have a bit more control over how the overall curvature of the handle is going to be. And that is much more easier than, simply extruding it manually. So yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and grab these guys, X, and choose vertices to delete them. Now I'm gonna borrow this one here, Shift D, duplicate it, and move it out in the X axis. I'm gonna rotate this like so. So this is gonna be like a manual rotation. So try to rotate this as accurately as possible. Yes, X 0. Sorry. Yes, X twice and 0. Okay. And R, Y twice and 90. Now press P and choose selection, make it into a separate object. So this is going to serve as a profile for the curve object that we are going to create. Now let's switch the transform orientation back to global. Press Shift A. Let's go to curve and add a path curve. Let's go ahead and move this over here. Okay, now let's grab this profile object here and right click convert to curve. So this is gotta be a curve object so that we can reference it to use it as a profile curve for this curve object. Now under the geometry section, go to the bevel option, make sure that you have switched it to object, and now choose this curve as a profile object. Now this should work fine. Okay, let's grab this, right click, set origin to geometry, apply the rotation and scale, and that will fix most of your issue. Okay, let's grab this one here, tab into edit mode, A to select everything, and press Control T, and this will rotate this. Okay, yeah. And go to the angle option, set this to 90 degrees. Now let's grab this guy and match this with the handle. So I'm gonna press Control X to get rid of this vertex so that we can, first adjust these guys, and then we can extrude them as we go along. Okay, this is looking pretty neat. Now let's extrude this out. So make sure to, grab the reference image just a bit because this image has a little bit of a perspective. We don't want to, match it super precisely. And I'm gonna stop this right here because we can use a mirror modifier for this. I mean, not exactly for the curve object. We're gonna have to again convert this into a mesh. So yeah, let's finalize these guys. And the overall thickness of this object kind of escalates as it starts in here. So I'm gonna grab these vertices, I mean these curve points, and press Alt S and inflate them just a bit like so. And I'm gonna grab the centerpiece and inflate it just a bit, and also grab this one, inflate it just a bit more like so. We'll add a little of a stylized effect, nothing much. And this seems a bit of a sudden transition, so let's fix it a little bit. So I'm gonna grab these three guys, right click, choose smooth, and this will smooth this out. Okay, one more time. Okay, now this is nice and round. Okay, now once again, I'm gonna press Shift D, create a duplicate of this because we are gonna convert this into a mesh. I'm gonna rename this to handle curve backup. Let's hide this from the viewport and the final render. Okay, now let's grab this. And before converting into a mesh, we're gonna have to do a slight optimization because right now this is a high quality curve object. What do I mean that? Because if I press Shift Z and enter the X-ray view, you can see how much amount of geometry this is actually having. So this is too much geometry, and sometimes in case if you had to modify this, it will be a little bit problematic to work with this amount of geometry. So in that case, it's a good idea to optimize this before converting this into a, grab this here, shift as cursor to selector. Now let's set the origin to the 3D cursor. So this will help us in mirroring this perfectly. Now let's go to the curve properties and scroll it up, and you can see there is an option called resolution preview. So by default this is set to 12, and for our case let's set this to 4, and this will significantly reduce the geometry count, you can see. So we went from this to this, so this is pretty manageable, and we don't really see much of a changes. Of course we have a little bit of a faceting here, but then nothing a good subdivision can't fix. So yeah, now right click, convert to mesh. Okay, so this is a live geometry now. Press forward slash to enter the world space. Now let's go ahead and press G and move it over here. Now we are gonna have to combine both of these guys, so press Ctrl J, join them together, tab into edit mode, go ahead and grab these two edges, shift and alt clicking it, right click, loop tools and choose bridge, and this will connect these guys together. Okay, this should have same amount of geometry. Okay, right click, let's choose bridge edge loops. Yeah, the loop tools bridge was kinda acting a little weird. So yeah, let's use the bridge edge loops. This should work fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a loop cut in between and get rid of these older loop cuts, and this will ensure a smooth transition here in this area. And as for this thickness here in this area, we can scale it up just a bit. Yeah, we are looking great here. Now let's go ahead and add a mirror modifier, move this above the subdivision, Control A, apply the rotation. Now this should work fine. Okay, now once again, I'm gonna set the origin to 3D cursor. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab this one and enable the clipping option in the mirror modifier. So this will, prevent the mesh from clipping in the center portion like so. So without the clipping, it will exceed the mirror point. So with the clipping enabled, this will stay in pretty nicely. Now we have the handle here. So let's also grab this one and this one. Let's go to the mirror modifier, copy to selected. Okay, so let's move the mirror modifier above all these guys. For this one, we need a mirror object so that it can reference, because with this one, the origin point is over here, so it's working fine. So I'm gonna grab this. Let's choose our main kettle as a mirror pivot. Yeah, we are looking good. Now it's time for the screws. So this is gonna be pretty simple. So yeah, again, we can borrow the mesh from here. Shift D, create a duplicate of this, and press P and choose selection, make it into a separate object. Right click, set origin to geometry, tab into edit mode, A to select everything, and press F to fill it. I guess we can get rid of the solidify modifier. and extrude this manually so that we can have a bit more control over it. I'm gonna bevel this nice and round, make it look like a screw head, something like that. Now let's enter the local space, grab this face here, give this a nice inset like so, one time, and another time. This time this is very small. This is gonna be like a extension, I mean the body of this screw like that. I'm gonna grab this and give this another inset. Right click, shade smooth, and I guess we can make this pretty sharp in this area and make the head a little flatter. Pretty neat. And we can also make this area a bit flatter. SX0. Yeah, this is looking all right. Now this might be a little too much. Yeah, just like I thought. So I'm gonna push it in a bit, something like that. Let's turn off the proportional editing. Yeah, let's push it in a little bit. And I guess we can scale this nut, I mean the bolt a little bit. You can also scale down this holes. Shift Alt and click here. Yes, and Shift X. Scale it down, match the size of this nut, I mean the bolt. Okay, we're gonna need a washer over here. So I'm gonna borrow this one, Shift D, duplicate that, press P, choose selection, make it into a separate object, grab this, tab into edit mode, A to select everything, E, extrude this out, like so. And let's borrow the bevel modifier from this one. Copy to selected. Grab this and move this above the subdivision, and that should work fine. Let's bring down the amount though, something like that. Let's do a quick save. It's always important that we are saving our file. And yeah, I guess we can give this extrusion in this area. So I'm going to press E, extrude it, right click to keep it in place, and make sure that you are in the median point. Yes, Y, scale them out like that. Let's grab these edges, press G twice to slide them in, and Alt to slide them out like so. Make this nice and flat. So this is to make sure that this is nice and sticking nicely. And in case if you feel like it, you can also grab these edges and Control Shift B to bevel them, make it nice and round like so. Looking great. Okay, folks, now let's grab this screw here. Okay, it seems like this is kind of punched in a little bit more than I anticipated. Okay, there is a slight issue here with the mirror pivot. So it seems like the center position of this handle and the teapot is not exactly matching up. So I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna grab the handle here and use this lid as a mirror pivot. And let's also grab this guys, and let's grab this one, make this as a pivot. And this will fix the issue. Let's grab this one, and let's grab this, press G, X, pull them out. Now this is perfectly mirrored. Okay, so previously the mirror pivot in both of these guys are a little confusing. Now that we are referencing the same object as a mirror pivot for all the objects, now it's working perfectly fine. Okay, and we are looking good. Now let's grab this guy here, and we can probably image to your profile, hide this from the viewport, and we can add a solidify modifier for this one. So let's do that. Move this above the subdivision, enable even thickness. You can add a loop cut over here. This will make this a little bit tighter. This is looking great. And let's also make some functionality factor, so which is having a little bit of a extrusion down here. And let's make this nice and sharp by beveling this out. Set the shape to 1 and segments to 2. This will add some nice supportive edge looks like this. And let's also add a solidify modifier, move this above subdivision, check even thickness, increase the thickness a little bit, add a loop cut, bring it down, support this edge like so. Maybe we can bring down the thickness to something like that. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Now for the materials, this is going to be like a really nice and polished material. So let's grab this, go to the material properties, create a new material. I'm gonna switch this one to the material preview. Maybe we can rotate this like this. Yeah, we can source the color from this image as well. So let's grab the base color and source this from this neutral area, something like that. And I guess we can increase the value a little bit because this seems a bit dull, and also a little bit more saturation. I guess we can give ourselves own color. So I guess I would like to make this nice and orangey. Why follow the same thing? So something like that, and bring down the roughness. I guess we can make this nice red because we are gonna need a lining, gold lining. So I would like to make this something somewhat a pinkish red. I really like this color here, a pinkish red. And go to the coat value. So this is like a polished type of thing. So let's go ahead and increase the weight all the way to 1. So you can see this is before and this is after, nice and polished. And we also have this tint value, which is going to effectively control the coat's color, overall color. So we can probably opt for a yellowish tint, something like this. So looking great. Now let's grab the lid and this one, Control L, and choose Link Materials. Pretty good. And we can also use the same material for this object as well. Control L, Link Materials. In case if you wish to see the material color in the viewport, you can also grab this here and scroll your mouse while still holding. Okay, sorry. Go to the viewport display, yeah. And then drag it down, put it over there. Looking good. Now let's grab this one. So this is looking like a brass type of material. So I'm going to create a new one. Go to the surface and change this into a metallic BSTF, or else you can simply use the metallic value in the principal BSTF. It works just fine. Okay, I'm gonna set this to something like this. Okay, let's take a closer look. Okay, bring down the roughness. Okay, not so much. Yeah, this will do. I'm not really gonna dive into texturing or anything, so this is just a basic material. Let's also use the same material for the screws as well. Yeah, looking great. And we can also use the same material for these linings. So, okay, I guess we can lift up this a little bit and add a loop over here. Maybe we can do a set flow there. Not so much. Bring down the mix to 0.5. Okay, now this is good. Okay, so we have a couple of linings in this area. So I would probably, grab this one here, give this a inset. Let's see if that's affecting. Yeah, it's kind of affecting the overall shape. So it's a issue there. So I'm going to simply create a new slot so we can, create some masks and stuff to fix it. But then let's go a little bit stylized here, shall we? And we can grab a lining over here and assign this one. And let's also not forget this ending here. So I would like to add a slight lining of metallic over this area. But then this seems a bit too much. So let's quickly adjust these guys. Make sure to slide it in. And for the insides of this kettle, we can create a new material, and let's call this enamel. So this is going to be like a simple white material, but roughness and coat value, yeah, something like that. And you can see we're gonna have to apply the solidify modifier in order to access the insides of this object, but we don't actually need to do that. So you can go to the materials option in the solidify modifier and adjust the material offset to 2, and this will pick the second material from the first one. and assign it to the insides of this, I mean the solidified part, and you can see here looking good. And for the base, I guess we can add a loop cut over here, bring it in. I would like to grab these guys and push them in just a bit and give this a nice inset, and assign the metallic material. Okay, give this another inset. Okay, I'm gonna create a new slot and assign the metallic material, and hit assign and duplicate it and reduce the hue and saturation. Therefore, this is something like this. Control plus and assign. Okay, now let's do a little optimization. Let's go ahead and select this whole thing and select the kettle as a final active object, and press Ctrl P and choose object. So this will parent the loose parts with the main body, and therefore we can easily move it around. Okay, folks, that's it for this video. I hope you have learned something new and find this video useful. If you do, please leave a like and comment something and subscribe to the channel, and that means a lot to me. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one.